The explosion was a heartbeat away. The air in the narrow valley along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border crackled with tension, the kind that makes your skin prickle and your pulse hammer in your ears. Corporal Ethan Caldwell knelt in the dirt, his breath shallow, his eyes locked on the Belgian Malinois beside him. The dog, Aries, stood rigid, his nose twitching, his amber eyes fixed on a patch of unremarkable ground 3 feet ahead. The dawn light bled gold across the jagged peaks, but Ethan saw none of it. His world had narrowed to the subtle shift in Aries' posture. The faint whine escaping the dog's throat out a sound so alien it sent a chill down his spine. They were a minefield, unmarked, unseen, and they'd walked right into it. Ethan's radio crackled faintly, but the signal was dead. No backup, no intel. Just him, Aries, and a 6-man joint task force frozen in place, their boots rooted to the rocky soil as if the earth itself might betray them. The mission had been clear: locate a weapons cache hidden in a compound a mile ahead. But now, the mission was survival. Ethan's hand hovered over Aries' tactical vest, his voice barely a whisper. "What is it, boy?" Aries didn't move, didn't blink. His focus was absolute, a predator staring down an invisible threat. Ethan trusted that focus more than any satellite map or high-tech gadget. 7 years as a canine handler in special operations had taught him one truth. When Aries spoke, you listened. 3 hours earlier, the team had assembled under the shadow of a jagged outcrop, their silhouettes swallowed by the pre-dawn mist. Lieutenant Marcus Tate, a wiry man with eyes like flint, spread a satellite map across a boulder. His finger jabbed at a cluster of structures nestled against the mountainside. "Intel says the weapons are here," he said, his voice low but commanding. "Minimal active VY, but expect 4 to 6 hostiles. We move fast, we move quiet." The team 3 military operatives and 3 tactical police officers nodded in unison. They'd been chasing this smuggling ring for months, tracking illegal arms flowing across borders into the hands of insurgents. This was their shot to shut it down. Ethan stood slightly apart, adjusting Aries' vest. The dog's ears flicked at every sound: the rustle of gear, the crunch of boots, the distant cry of a hawk. At 28, Ethan was the team's K9 handler, a role that made him both point man and lifeline. Aries, with his sleek black and tan coat and unerring instincts, was more than a partner. He was an extension of Ethan's senses, a levying detector of threats no human could perceive. "Ready, boy," Ethan murmured. Aries tilted his head, a silent acknowledgement that carried more weight than words. Officer Liam Harper, the team's youngest at 22, fiddled with his rifle, his eyes darting to Aries with a mix of curiosity and doubt. It was his first mission with a K9 unit, and Ethan had caught his skeptical mutterings back at base. "A dog? Seriously? We're betting our lives on a mutt's nose." Ethan hadn't bothered to argue. Harper would learn soon enough. "Ethan, Aries, you're on point," Tate ordered, folding the map. "This valley's a choke point. If anyone's watching, we need to know before they know we're here." Ethan nodded, feeling Aries press against his leg, already anticipating the move. The dog's training was flawless, but there was something marine, almost uncanny awareness that had pulled them through ambushes and IED field alive. Officer Sarah Vega, the team's explosives expert, gave Ethan a quick nod. Her sharp eyes scanned the terrain, her mind already mapping potential threats. Beside her, Officer Daniel Reese, a grizzled veteran, clapped Ethan's shoulder. "Glad you and that dog are out front," he said, his voice rough but warm. "Save my hide and helmet. Never bet against a K9." The team moved out, their boots whispering against the rocky soil. The mist clung to the valley, reducing visibility to 100 yards in places. Perfect for stealth, but a gift to any sniper perched on the ridges above. Ethan and Aries led the way, the dog's nose working tirelessly, his movements fluid yet deliberate. Behind them, Tate maintained formation, while Harper's nervous energy was palpable, his rifle gripped too tightly. Vega's eyes never stopped scanning, and Reese's steady presence anchored the group. They'd covered nearly 3/4 of the distance to the compound when Ares changed. It was subtly slight stiffening of his frame, his tail snapping from relaxed to rigid. Ethan's hand shot up, signaling a halt. The team froze, their training overriding any confusion. Ethan's pulse quickened as he studied Ares. The dog took 3 careful steps, then stopped dead, his body locked mid-stride, ears swiveling like radar dishes. This wasn't his alert for explosives or a human scent. This was something else, something Ethan had never seen in their years together. Tate edged forward, his face tight with impatience. "What's the holdup, Caldwell?" He whispered, his hand signals sharp. Ethan pointed to Ares, then signed unknown detection. The dog's gaze was fixed on the ground ahead, his muscles coiled as if ready to leap backward. Tate checked his watch, then the map. "We're behind schedule. Could be nothing wildlife. Old tracks. We need to move." Ethan shook his head, his voice low but firm. "Not nothing. Ares doesn't do false alarms. Something's wrong." Harper shifted, his skepticism bubbling up. "Maybe he's just spooked. Dogs get distracted, right?" Ethan's glare could have burned through steel. "Not this dog." Vega stepped forward, her calm authority cutting through the tension. "Let's give them a minute, LT. If the dog's reacting, we need to know why." Tate's jaw clenched, but he relented. 1 minute. Check it out. Ethan unclipped Ares' lead, GIVYing him room to investigate. "Search," he commanded softly, pairing the word with a hand signal. Ares didn't charge forward as he would for a scent trail. Instead, he backed up a step, then angled left, his nose working furiously. His movements grew agitated, not with excitement, but with stressa, low whine escaping his throat. He circled back to Ethan, pressed against his leg, then moved right, each paw placed with surgical precision, as if the ground itself might bite. "He's trying to tell us something," Ethan said, his gut twisting. "It's the terrain." Tate's patience snapped. "Time's up, Caldwell. We've got a clock to keep." Ethan's voice hardened. "Sir, if Ares is this worked up, we're walking into something bad. We need to figure it out now." Vega crouched, her eyes narrowing as she studied the ground. "Let me take a look." She moved forward, her steps deliberate, her gaze sweeping the soil. After a moment, she froze, her hand brushing away a thin layer of dust. The team held its breath as she uncovered a glint of metal, barely visible in the morning light. "Holy hell," she whispered, sitting back on her heels. "So VYE Tierra PMN? 2 anti-personnel mine. Buried, probably since the 80s. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Harper's face went pale, and Reese muttered a curse under his breath. Tate stepped closer, careful to trace Vega's path. "You're sure?" he asked, though Vega's expertise left no room for doubt. "Positive," she said. "Pressure plate, packed with enough explosive to shred a leg. Fragmentation design for maximum damage. Russian markings old, but deadly." Ethan's stomach churned as the truth sank in. "If there's one," he started. "There's a whole field," Vega finished, her voice grim. "These were laid in patterns clusters, lines, designed to wipe out entire units." Harper's voice cracked. "So we're standing in a minefield? An unmarked minefield?" Reese's flat tone cut through the rising panic. "One our intel missed completely." Tate unfolded the map, his urgency palpable. "Nothing here marks a minefield. This valley's been used by locals for years." Vega's eyes scanned the terrain. Last year's monsoons. Heavy rains could have shifted the soil, exposed buried ordnance, or uncovered what was hidden. Ethan knelt beside Ares, stroking his head. "You smelled it, didn't you? The explosives even buried." Pride and fear warred in his chest. Ares had saved them from walking deeper into death. How did satellites miss this? Harper asked, his earlier doubt replaced by stunned gratitude. "Plastic casings, minimal metal," Vega explained. "Designed to be invisible to standard scans. You'd need perfect conditions and exact coordinates to spot them." Tate's voice was steady despite the situation. "Caldwell, how far into the valley are we?" Ethan calculated quickly. About 500 meters. Single file through the narrow entry. The implication was clear. They'd walked blindly into the minefield. Every step a gamble with fate. "We're surrounded," Reese said, his calm unnerving. Harper's whisper was barely audible. "Jesus." Tate's training took over. "Nobody moves." Vega, options. The explosives expert assessed their position. "We need to map the field's extent and find a safe route out." These mines were laid systematically. "We figure out the pattern, we can gate it." Harper's voice trembled. "How?" Without stepping on one. All eyes turned to Ethan and Aries. The dog's detection skills, which had stopped them from disaster, were now their only hope. "Aries can find the mines," Ethan said, meeting their gazes. "But this is beyond his standard training. We'll need to move slowly, test every step." Tate nodded. "Caldwell, Aries, you're on point. Vega, work with them to mark safe passage. Everyone else, stay still until we have a path." Ethan pulled a can of orange spray paint from his pack. "I'll mark each safe step. Follow my exact path orange marks only." He focused on Aries, using the command tone the dog knew best. "Search." Aries snapped into work mode, his movements methodical as he tested the ground around Ethan. When he neared the exposed mine, he backed away, signaling an alert, then continued checking nearby areas, mapping safe zones versus danger. A narrow, winding path began to emerge, each safe spot barely wide enough for a single boot. Tate checked his watch. "This'll take hours, and we're losing light." Reese's grim reply was succinct. "Better slow than dead." The team began their agonizing extraction, Aries leading, Ethan marking, and the others following in single file. The sun climbed, its heat intensifying, sweat soaking Ethan's back as he interpreted Aries' every signal. An hour in, with only 50 meters gained, Tate repositioned Harper behind Ethan to keep the rookie under closer watch. "Focus on my boots," Ethan signaled. "Step exactly on the marks." Harper nodded, his face pale but determined. Another hour passed, the team inching towards safety when Aries froze. His BHVY, or shifted on an explosive alert, but something urgent. He turned, staring directly at Harper, a low growl rumbling in his throat. Ethan signaled a halt, turning to check on Harper. The rookie was unraveling. His breaths came in shallow gasps, his eyes glazed, his body trembling. "Breathe," Ethan signaled, catching his gaze. Slow and deep. Harper tried, but panic had taken hold, his hyperventilation spiraling. Then it happened, a small, instinctive shift to steady himself, his right foot sliding inches off the marked path. A metallic click shattered the silence. Everyone froze. Harper looked down, horror dawning as he realized his boot rested on a pressure plate. The mine was armed, held at bay only by his weight. "Don't move," Vegas signaled, her voice calm but urgent. Harper stood petrified, tears streaming down his face, his lips mouthing silent prayers. Tate's order was immediate. "Maintain position. No sudden movements." Ethan turned to face Harper, his mind racing. The rookie's eyes were wild, pleading. "I'm sorry," Harper whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm so sorry." Ethan's response was steady, defying the chaos in his head. "We'll figure this out." But standard EOD protocol offered no hope. A triggered pressure mine in the field, without equipment, was a death sentence. Evacuate and detonate remotely, that was the rule. Harper knew it. "I'm dead," he said, his voice hollow. "There's no way out." "There's always a way," Ethan countered, his mind grasping for options. Reese suggested a weight transfer replacing Harper's boot with an equivalent mass. Vega shook her head. "Theoretically possible, but the timing's impossible. Milliseconds, exact pressure. No room for error." Then Aries moved. Ignoring Ethan's command to hold, the dog approached Harper, his steps deliberate. He circled the rookie, sniffing the pressure plate, his focus absolute. "What's he doing?" Tate asked, his voice tense. "Problem solving," Ethan said, recognizing the pattern from complex detection drills. "He's analyzing." To their astonishment, Aries lowered himself, extending his muzzle to the plate, sniffing its edges. He's assessing pressure distribution, Vega realized, her voice tinged with awe. Ares completed his inspection, then looked at Ethan, his intent clear. He had a plan. I think he's got an idea, Ethan told Harper, gripping the rookie's shoulder. And I trust him. Harper's voice trembled. A dog? How? Ethan's reply was simple. You'd be surprised what he knows. Ares began a deliberate search, his focus locking on a pile of rocks 10 feet away. After careful inspection, he selected a flat-sided stone, roughly the size of a grapefruit, and carried it back, holding it gently in his jaws. He's creating a weight replacement, Ethan said, the pieces clicking. The stone for your boot. Vega's eyes widened. If the stone matches your foot's weight and we place it perfectly, it could work. But the exchange. Reese finished her thought. Timing's got to be flawless. Ethan knelt beside Harper, steadying him. On Vega's count. No sudden moves. Ares stood ready, the stone in his mouth, his focus unyielding. Vega took charge, her voice calm. The firing pin's here, behind the plate center. We need constant pressure there. Ethan nodded, signaling Ares. Place. With surgical precision, Ares positioned the stone beside Harper's boot, aligning it with the critical point. Perfect, Vega breathed. Dead on. Now the hard part, Ethan told Harper. I'll stabilize your leg. Ares and Vega will handle the transfer. Stay still until I say, then lift your foot slowly. Harper nodded, his fear tempered by resolve. What followed was a masterclass in canine intelligence. As Harper eased weight off his toes, Ares adjusted the stone's pressure with incremental precision, compensating instantly for each shift. 90% transferred, Vega reported, her voice awed. Stone's taking the weight. Final phase, Ethan said. On my mark, slide your foot back. Smooth, controlled. He counted down. 3, 2, 1 mark. Harper slid his foot backward, agonizingly slow, while Ares maintained pressure on the stone. Seconds stretched into eternity, the team holding their breath. Finally, Harper's foot cleared the plate. The stone held, Ares unwavering. Clear, Vega whispered, stone suppressing the trigger. Then Ares did something extraordinary. He adjusted the stone fractionally, ensuring its balance, then eased his jaw pressure, using his muzzle to test stability. He's checking if it'll hold independently, Vega said, stunned. That's beyond training. When Ares stepped back, the stone remained perfectly balanced, locking the firing pin. The mine was contained. Harper stood on the marked path, tears of relief streaming down his face. How do I, he stammered. Thank him later, Tate called, his skepticism gone. Let's move. As they resumed, Ares veered toward a side valley, his alerts shifting to newer, Chinese-made mines. Vega noted disturbed soil and footprint Shivi, suggesting smugglers carrying loads. They're using the minefield as a shield, Tate realized. This side path is their route. Following Ares, they gated the smugglers' path, making faster progress despite occasional alerts to fresh mines. When they finally cleared the minefield, Harper looked at Ares with reverence. I didn't believe it until I saw it. He saved us all. Reese's reply was simple. That's what K9s do. They sense what we can't. 3 days later, EOD teams swept the valley, recovering 32 weapons crates, over 400 mines, and intel tying the smuggling to a regional terror network. Harper, once a skeptic, applied to join the K9 unit. Ethan wasn't surprised. He clapped the rookie's shoulder. Lesson 1. Trust your dog, especially when you don't understand him. As Ethan and Ares stood on a ridge overlooking the now secure valley, the dog pressed against his leg, amber eyes calm but alert. Ethan scratched his ears, his voice soft. Good boy. Let's go home.